I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, Councilman Dufresne will not be here this evening. Personal appeals part one, I see no one here. Is there anyone in our virtual? Would like to make appeal? It looks like you do not have anyone. Community minute. Somebody like to bring anything forward for a community minute?
I would just like to thank the Emmaus Main Street Partners and East Penn Chamber for a wonderful old-fashioned Christmas weekend this past weekend and tree lighting. It was a little damp, but I think the spirits were definitely merry and bright, and town was full, and it was just really enjoyable. So
How was the turnout?
Outstanding.
it was outstanding.
Outstanding.
It was great.
Yes,
Good.
it was better years. And the day, even with all the rain during the day, people were stopping in because of the Cheers Trail passport, and it was they were all over town.
That's great to hear.
It was very nice.
Anyone else? Community minute?
I talked to Santa Claus and he was super concerned about where he should park the reindeer and the sled. And went out with all the parking things going on, and I said, don't worry about it. It's on the house.
How do we record that?
Yeah, it's my community dad joke.
When we approve the minutes, let's make sure we remove that.
I honestly thought he was directing him at John. He's the king of
No,
fun.
I saw him.
There's no basis under Robert's rule to strike that, unfortunately.
Oh, so the dad joke stands.
The dad joke must stand, sadly.
Note in the minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
loud groan.
Yeah, you can note the loud grunt. That is correct.
See that, you don't get to cover.
All right.
That's fantastic.
Now wait, till you hear what the headline's gonna be for Jake.
Yeah.
Loud and bright.
Put that in your article. Come on, I hear you.
Santa struggles with parking in downtown Emmaus.
Oh, don't give him any ideas.
All right, moving on to reading of the minutes. We have the November 21st meeting minutes to approve. Does anybody have a motion to approve the minutes? Councilwoman Baumgartner, seconded by Councilman Andrews. Any corrections or additions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, there are 6 ayes. We have no decisions on bids. Under resignation or under communications, we have the resignation from the Emmaus Arts Commission, Allison Spagnolati. Naletti, okay. And she was on 2 commissions, but wants to focus on the Entertainment Commission, so. Hanover Engineering sent 2 requests in for reappointment to the Borough Utility Engineer and also reappointment as the Borough Sewage Enforcement Officers. I did see they had 4 actual officers listed. Do we have to list officers
Yes.
or will it be just the firm itself?
No, we need to listen to.
So all 4 of those names will be listed in the, so that gives me 4 names to read, great. All right, anybody else have a communication to bring forward?
President, Mr. Pepe, are we going to also? include-
Yes, we received correspondence. I think I'm the only one that has it. An email to us from Allison Fox. Due to some personal issues, she's going to be stepping down from both of the commissions that she's on.
And which are those?
Arts Commission and the special or the Recreation and Entertainment Commission.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have some vacancies we can advertise for and get some letters out thanking them for their service. Anybody else with the communication besides that? All right, hearing none, there's no Borough Engineers report, Solicitors report.
No report.
Thank you. Unfinished business part 1, we have nothing. Under new business, we have 4 ordinances to pass. For first reading only. We have ordinance 1233, an ordinance amending pursuant to 8 Pennsylvania CS subsection 1304 establishing a street light fund for the Borough of Emmaus. This is the first reading, and Shane, I'll turn it over to you if you want to just explain what our street fund's gonna entail.
Street light fund. Thanks, Brent. So right now, the borough pays for its street lightings out of what I've always deemed as an inappropriate fund, which was a liquid fuels fund, which is designed for street work. Accompanying this is a series of other budget moves that Borough Council is proposing for adoption. The reality is street lights should be paid by a street light tax. That's what the majority of municipalities does or do. And what it'll do is it'll free up that $120,000 to be able to do street work, which is again the number one complaint that Mr. Labenberg heard during his campaign trail previously. So part of the entire budget process that we've gone through is trying to put funds towards street work. This was one of the big ways that we would be able to do that, and that is to have street lighting be paid through a street lighting tax.
And I'll add two things. You say inappropriate, but it is allowable.
It is allowed.
It is allowable. And the other part is we did put that 120,000 towards roads in next year's budget also. So we did do that also, right?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I think bears mentioning that we did put all the streetlights.
Yes.
Switching on to LED.
Yeah, and to be clear though, that LED switchover had no financial impact other than the cost of electricity would go down. Because there was no charge from PPL to do that, which was new to their program. Before it was a waning over 10 years, it would wane down as far as their charge for it, but there was no cost at all for that. So that had no implication as to why you're making this proposed ordinance.
Any other comments? So is there a motion to approve ordinance 1233 for first reading? Councilman Anders, second by Councilman Balliet. I asked for comments earlier. Anybody still have a comment? Hearing none, this is a roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner,
Aye.
Councilman Anders,
Aye.
Councilman Balliet,
Aye.
Councilman Hart,
Aye.
Councilman Layberg, aye. There are 6 ayes. First reading passes 6-0. We have ordinance 1234. It's an ordinance amending chapter 26, sections 105 and 106 of the codified ordinances dealing with the water rate schedule and the billing and collection procedures for Borough of Emmaus, Pennsylvania. It's the first reading also, and want to rattle off what the increases are for us?
Yeah, so your rates per 1,000 gallons would be increasing from 280 to 375 per 1,000 gallons. The typical household of 4 uses about 16,000 gallons per quarter. The increase over the course of a year for a family of 4 using, that rate would be about $60.80. And as we've discussed over the last 4 months, this is being done because of the INI efforts and the mandates that we're facing, as well as the $4 million loan we're getting ready to take out to try to address those leaks into the sewer system. As you've seen in reports, the percentage of water that gets into the sewer system during storms is still very much unacceptable.
Water increased in the sewer.
And you said sewer.
This is actually water.
No, I read water.
Okay, so I've got the wrong one, so I'm gonna talk about sewer anyway. Somebody there.
Sorry, I just wanted to.
And so with the sewer, that rate reflects that work. The water is a whole different conversation, if you want me to go into that right now.
Well, that's the one that we're.
Okay, and I apologize.
No, that's all right.
So with water,
We had 2, so.
with water, we spent more than a few months on this issue. Our big issues with water are PFAS and the condition of our holding tanks for our water system. And so the proposed rate increases that Borough Council is considering reflects the cost of both. The range of costs to mitigate the PFAS system ranges between 1.6 million and up to $30 million if we do one of the options. Obviously, the most logical and the option that we're probably leaning towards is more in the realm of a $2 million cost. But Borough Council will be facing that decision here in a couple months as we got the last piece of our study in today. So now we have to analyze the data. So with that said, rate increases will be across the board. Most residents, again, use about 16,000 gallons per quarter. So they would fall under the first 40,000 gallons. Our rate would be going from $2.50 per 1,000 gallons to $3.15 per 1,000 gallons. So that would be an increase of about $41.60 per year for a household of four. We're also creating the water infrastructure account, which is also very important because of the increased maintenance of whatever system we go with is going to cost. If we go with the carbon filtration system, it's going to cost at least $50,000 a year or more to maintain. If we go with some of the other systems, it's going to be even more. In addition to that, when, not if, but when we do the improvements to the water tanks, we're looking at millions of dollars for them. As a matter of fact, I think it was 1.6 million, I think was the estimate to do that work. If we don't do that work and something happens to one of those tanks, as you know, it would cost $4 million to replace one of the small tanks and $10 million to replace one of the big tanks. If we get that work done, though, it extends the life expectancy of those tanks for 25 or more years. And you saw the study, you saw the photos, they're in pretty bad shape. So with that, we would be looking at probably spending up to $400 and some thousand a year if we were to spread the cost out over 4 or 5 years. So as we were doing the calculations with the infrastructure and with the increased usage, the infrastructure and you see it in this sheet, it's actually $60 per year plus the $41.60 for usage. So the average water bill over the course of a year would go up for a resident household of 4 people, about $101.60.
It's a little over $10 a month.
I just wanted to point out that we might want to speak about how the water rates here compared to other areas of the municipalities in the valley.
Yeah, and I would say, well, so we have that analysis, we have that study, we have been the lowest. Even after we increased it a couple years ago, we were still the lowest in the entire Lehigh Valley. This still keeps us at the lower end of all water rates across the entire Lehigh Valley. And that's even with the increased work that we're doing. So our residents are still paying much lower than the majority of our peers. The issue with that, though, is when you're not funding the infrastructure, at some point you need to, and we're at that point where we don't have much of a choice, as you've seen. And obviously with the other issue.
Anybody else? All right, so I need a motion to approve ordinance 1234. Councilman Hart, second by Councilman Balliet. Any questions? I have one. If we could turn to the actual ordinance on the second page, there is a, maybe it's the first page. No, it's the second page. Under number 4, we have a $60 reconnection fee that has to be paid if your water was shut off.
Correct.
My question is, does the reconnection fee match our fee schedule? That's the first thing.
Well, so we can look at that if you guys are increasing that reconnection fee.
Well, I just want to make sure it matches.
It does right now.
Okay,
It does
but
right
then my second question is, how can we word the ordinance that if we change the fee, we don't have to change the ordinance and pay for all the money for changing the ordinance? Can we change the wording so that we don't have to do that?
That's a good question. And for the water, as long as you're not part of a municipal authority where you have to go to a different board to do that, you could make this change by resolution. You could eventually adopt an ordinance that says changes can be done by resolution. That said, you haven't done that yet. So right now you're doing it by ordinance. I mean, unless Shane disagrees.
No, so I believe you probably can change your water rates in general by resolution. We have traditionally done it through ordinance.
But that's a simple change. Shane or I could craft an ordinance that simply says the rate schedule can
So
be
the way-
amended by resolution.
So the way I understand it then, we can pass this ordinance, but if we want to increase the rate, we don't have to do it through ordinance, we can just do a resolution.
You would need a separate ordinance saying you can do it by resolution.
So either way, we gotta do a separate ordinance.
Yes, you
So
would
it
need.
doesn't save us anything.
There's no-
That
no,
is
no.
my goal,
Here's-
is to
no,
prevent us
no, no,
from
no.
having to do
No,
another
no, no, no,
ordinance.
hold on, Brent. So it works like this. You would do one more ordinance, then you would never do an ordinance again.
We would always adopt your water rates through resolution.
Yes.
And
And a
here's
lot,
the-
and just for your, if anybody asks, a lot of municipalities do that. They tend to do a lot of these at the end of the year just by resolution.
I would tell you that I believe, my understanding when it first started here was the reason we did it by ordinance was the transparency piece of this. We advertised it, the public saw it, they saw it twice. It wasn't just your last meeting of the year, boom, you passed the resolution. Now, maybe what I would suggest, Mr. Lavenberg, is, you know, at your first reading, maybe you do this contingent upon examining the fee schedule that you guys are getting ready to adopt. A couple days.
I'm not suggesting changing it, I'm just saying,
If you. want
next
to
year, we
limit-
wanna increase the reconnection fee, then we have to send, if we can save money, that's all I'm looking at, that's my whole goal, is trying to save some money if we could.
I mean, your advertising costs. Now, I don't usually draft these ordinances, so in-house, you save money when Shane does those no matter what.
Okay,
And you guys are lucky that Shane does a lot of your ordinances, because a lot of municipalities pay me to do that. That said, yes, your cost is going to be the
advertising.
drafting of that ordinance and then the advertisement costs. But, I mean, there are benefits both ways, because like I said, or like Shane said, it is something that when it's published in the paper and people can come into Borough Hall and look at it.
So if we wanted to go that route, we would pass this ordinance this year, but then we would
You
do
still have-
another ordinance.
Yes.
And then down the road, when we want to change water rates or a reconnection fee or anything associated with water, we can just do it through resolution.
If that's something you're interested in, yes,
I
that would be drafted.
I would prefer that. I know you like the what's the word?
Transparency, no, I
Transparency,
remember
yes.
I had asked this question years and years ago, and that was the.
Well, I understand that
why
part,
we did
but
it.
we've never hidden anything on this council and we do
No.
everything public and it's not, you have to pass that resolution anyhow, and that resolution would tell you what the increases are.
Correct. The difference being it's not advertised twice in the paper of record general circulation.
But we also, that, I mean, transparency, we broadcast our meetings too, so anybody can check that the next day. Or
I'm not-
live if they like.
I'm not arguing one way or the
So,
other.
yeah,
I'm simply-
I mean, I'm just saying, things have changed since.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not advocating one way or the other either. It's
All right.
simply, that's the reason why we. did it.
If we can save money on advertising, I'm all for it, because they're not getting cheaper. So, and
That could-
that's all
that
I
could
had.
gen-
I
That could
thought it was,
generate, that could generate out of one of your committees that request for an ordinance.
all right, I would like to assign that to GA then, or, GA, or codes,
That's a budget finance.
budget finance, okay, we'll do budget finance.
Sorry, John.
Third guess is the charm.
Parks and Rec.
In fairness, I really wanted that to go to your committee, John.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any more comments? Sorry, I didn't mean to drag it out, but I thought I could save us some money. Roll call vote, Councilman Balliet. Aye. Councilman Hart.
Aye.
Councilman Layberg, aye. Councilman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner.
Good question. Didn't you mention doing it as a contingency about reviewing?
Well, Shane had said that about
Do we
making
wanna
it
do that?
contingent upon that, but you're gonna have to vote on the second one anyway.
I think you're okay there.
Yeah, you're gonna have to vote second anyway, and you advertised this once already, but technically speaking, as long as the change is not something that modifies. the
It'll get
text.
advertised on Wednesday.
Yeah, so it'll get re-advertised anyway, so people will be able to see it, you're fine.
Councilwoman McManaman.
Aye.
There are 6 ayes. Ordinance 1234 passes first reading. Ordinance 1235, an ordinance amending chapter 18 sewer and sewage disposal rates of the code of ordinances of the Borough of Emmaus, Pennsylvania for fiscal year 2023. Shane, you
Do
reviewed
I
this already.
have to go through that again?
Unless, Did you get all of it the first time?
I think the only thing I heard you say 100, like the total amount.
Okay, so sewer rates. Sewer rates will be going up from $2.80 per thousand gallons to $3.75 per thousand gallons. It's still, in our study, showed we were in the lower to middle range in the entire valley, even with this increase. A typical household of 4 that uses 16,000 gallons per quarter. Remember, we bill sewage based on the amount of water. The increase would be $60.80 per year based on those averages. Again, the reason why we're raising sewer rates comes back to the issues with stormwater in the sewer. The I&I efforts, the mandate from the federal and state government, and the fact that we're staring down the barrel of a 2024 final plan for the upgrades to the Allentown sewer system. And if we don't address more than what we have, and we have spent several $1 million on this, but we still have a large percentage of water during storms reaching the system. We are going to be spending millions of dollars more based on the percentage of water that's hitting the system during March storm. So we will be taking out a $4 million loan in the next year with the plan that our public works is establishing so that we can mine sewers, fix manholes, and try to remove as much of this water as we can possibly get out of the sewer system.
Thank you. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1235? Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilwoman McManaman. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Hearing none, it's a roll call vote. Councilman Anders? Aye. Councilman Ladenburg? Aye. Councilman Hart?
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner?
Aye.
Councilwoman McManaman?
Aye.
Councilman Valiant?
Aye.
There are 6 ayes. 1235 passes on 6-0 vote. Mix it up a little, huh? Keep you on your toes. We have ordinance 1236, our last ordinance for the evening, an ordinance levying taxes for the fiscal year of 2023 for the Borough of Emmaus at the rate of 8.1815 mils pursuant to section 1310 of the Borough Code of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and a revenue neutral levy based on the 2013 Lehigh County tax reassessment split between the general fund tax of 6.3154 mils, a fire fund tax of 1.3961 mils, a special roads fund tax of 0.32 mils, and a street light fund tax of 0.15 mils. This is the first reading of this ordinance. Do you want to review it?
Do you want me to?
Sure. I mean, there's 2 things to talk about.
Yeah, so general fund tax, fire fund tax remain the same. They did not go up. As we spoke earlier about the street lighting fund, to generate that $120,000 revenue we need for street lights, it's a 0.15 mil tax, which comes out to about $29.93 per household that's assessed at $200,000. And that's the key, is at $200,000. You also established last year the special road fund. This year you established a special road fund tax based on the plan that we've been working on and the study that we had done. We've come up with, we need about $250,000 per year in that fund. That came out to a 0.32 mil tax, which was for a $200,000 house, $64. So the average house, the tax impact and new taxes for a $200,000 assessment would be $93.93 increase, which is about 6.2%.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1236? Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Valiant. Any more questions or discussion, comments? All right, roll call vote. Councilman Hart,
Aye.
Councilman Valiant,
Aye.
Councilwoman McManaman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner,
Aye.
Councilman Anders,
Aye.
Councilman Ladenburg, aye, 6 ayes, 6-0 vote on first reading And all 4 of these ordinance will have their second reading in 2 weeks, which will be the 19th.
Yes.
The 19th. All right. There's no unfinished business part 2, items not on the agenda. Does anyone like to bring anything forward? Hearing none, mayor's report.
I have nothing to report this evening. Progress.
All right, that leads us to committee reports, Public Works Committee Chairman Anders.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing for official action this evening. Just a quick reminder, this is the last week of leaf pickup. They started today, and as they go by, they will not be returning. So hopefully everyone has their leaves out for pickup.
They went through my neighborhood already. I can't put any more on it.
Hopefully you got them all.
No, I didn't, because it was raining and wind the whole time.
Well,
Hopefully they blow into the neighbors.
our next meeting is Wednesday, December 21st at 4 p.m. via Zoom, and with that, I'll report progress.
Thank you. Health Sanitation and Codes Committee Chairman Valiant.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we have 2 action items. The first is the dumpster day for 2023. I'd like to place a motion to have it on a date of 9/16/23 at the fire training grounds.
You're not going to combine them.
No, I'll do them separate.
All right, there's a motion by Councilman Valiant. There's a second. Councilwoman McManaman seconds it. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
Thank you. Our next event would be the Household Hazardous Waste Day. And this would have a tentative date of 10/21/23 at the location at the community park. And I'll place that in a form of motion.
Motion by Councilman Valiant, seconded by Councilman Hart. Any questions or comments?
I just wanted to know what the discussion was about having them separate and in different locations.
So the whitetail handles all of the dumpster day stuff. They bring in the big roll-offs, they bring in the dump trucks and everything like that. And I think our feeling in the committee always was that there's just too much going on, that when people come to be able to separate everything on it, because all the hazardous stuff, you need to have a whole nother crew of people there. And being able to palletize it, take it away, it just becomes a lot to try to accomplish
Impossible.
in one day.
Impossible. The layout for the hazardous waste event is a pretty big layout. There's no way, there's absolutely no way we could pull off the event with both at the same time. The other issue is because we go past noon, the dumps close at noon. So with the dumpster day, you have to have a locked location because every dumpster that gets filled after 12 o'clock gets left there. So that's why the fire training grounds works perfectly, because they leave the dumpsters there until Monday. Household hazardous waste, if you left it there overnight, you have to have it manned 24/7 with police, fire, and ambulance. So they don't do that. They take it the same day. So they clean up, they go. We found that community park is really the ideal setup for everything, but we're not gonna let 8 dumpsters sit there, over a weekend. So we found that community park worked a lot more efficiently for traffic for household hazardous waste day. Dumpster day is a pull and go, so it's quick. We've never really had a line more than, well, the first year we had it towards the end of the driveway, but the hazardous waste day, people were waiting an hour the first year for it. Now last time it was 10 minutes. But we also had we had a bigger setup and more cars could set up. So I think that was also.
Yeah, and I think that, with that, I think we've learned over the years, and even when people come in, it's like, hey, what do you have? And you're able to put them in 2 or 3 different lines, depending on what it is, which slows it up. But,
Yeah. It takes more time to unload the car because they separate it all as they go with the hazardous waste.
One question, what are the hours for the Howard hazardous waste?
8
I think
to
we're
1.
8 to 1.
Okay.
For both events.
Both of them are 8 to 1.
It's just that's the Halloween parade day, so. Just keep.
We're
it in
aware.
mind.
We figured we'd make a day of it.
It will be.
Any more questions or comments?
So what we did do, when we discussed this is, Sarah sent, an email to make sure that everything comes off correct desk, so the parks won't be able to be, rented down at Community Park, as well for the hazardous, waste day.
Any other questions?
No rain date. It's rain or shine on that one, yeah. They come out of, the hazardous waste people come out of Ohio, so they're coming no matter what.
All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
There's, meeting notes, attached. If anyone has any questions, please ask. If not, our next meeting is going to be December 28th at 4:45, and with that, I'll report progress.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
I have nothing for official action. We haven't met since our last meeting. We will be meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, December 6th at 4:45 PM via Zoom for progress.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairman Hart.
thank you. The Public Safety Committee did not meet in November. Our next scheduled meeting is December 29th at 9 AM via Zoom. I report progress.
Thank you. General Administration Committee is myself. Have no action to be taken tonight. Our next meeting is December 15th. 9 AM via, well, this will be in person because we are doing interviews. Is that public meeting?
It is, but we're going into executive session immediately.
Okay. So I report progress after that. Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman Dufresne is not here, so Councilman Hart.
Yes, the ordinances were handled previously by the chair. We have resolution 2021-45 for bills for the month and totaling $604,419.83. The bill list totaling $139,120.02. Payrolls 23 and 24, $349,955.62, and payroll taxes $115,344.19. I'll put that in the form of a motion to approve.
Unless I misunderstood you, I think you said resolution 2022-45 and it's 50. He said that? Okay, so it is,
Except 44.
oh, but on our bypass is 50.
What is it?
It's 50.
Apologize.
Okay, so you,
I don't know if you gave the correct number.
So the numbers are a little bit
They're
different.
all-
Numbers are all wrong.
Yeah.
was that from 7 meetings ago?
No, that's a year ago.
Oopsie.
Oh, that goes back to the conversation we had today.
Good catch, Councilman Lee.
John was sending me emails while our former ambulance chief was sending me emails. On memos, and it was because he was trying to compare stuff.
All right, resolution 2022-50. Bills totaling $400,873.21. Bill list $173,390.68. Payroll $172,215.12, and payroll taxes $55,267.41. I'll put that in.
Motion by Councilman Hart, is there a second? Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any corrections or additions or questions? Hearing, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, there's 6 ayes.
I do have to explain what I did. I wanted to find out what the millage was last year in the budget, so I went into the packet in December of last year, and I ended up staying there. I was going around looking.
He was sending me emails about stuff that was in the agenda.
Well, thank you for filling in for Chairman Dufresne, you did a great job.
But sorry, you're not done there.
All right. The proposed, budget first reading. What do we need to
Yes.
say about that?
You guys will need to vote to advertise the budget. That's what you need to advertise.
Put that in form of a motion to advertise the budget for 2023.
Motion by Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Balliet. Any questions? Just something I thought of at home. That's really not, it has something to do with this, but it doesn't. But just curious, when's the next year we have an extra payday? Because we need to put that in our 5-year plan, and I wrote it in the notes here, and if it's not appropriate for here, I don't care, I just don't wanna forget it.
I think
Because
it
we've
was
nailed this before.
every
11?
7 to 9. It might be 11 before the next year. Yeah, it's definitely outside.
We
the
need
5 years.
to find out the year and put it in our 5-year plan so we don't miss it, because that's gonna be a budgeting.
So I'm hoping it's not in the next 5. I don't think it is the next 5. We calculated out. I thought it was pretty far out.
Okay. All right.
No, that's, and keep thinking that, because that
Okay.
hurts if that happens.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. Those opposed, there are 6 ayes.
The next meeting is scheduled for December 15th at 11 a.m. That'll vote by this.
Thank you. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, Chairwoman McManaman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing for official action this evening. Our next meeting is this coming Monday, December 12th at 4:30 for progress.
Thank you. You have 2 sets of meeting minutes and a newsletter under boards and commissions. Personal Appeals Part 2. Do we have somebody online now? If anybody online has a public appeal, Sarah will unmute you. If you have an appeal, state your name and what your appeal is. Now would be the time to do it. All right, hearing none. We'll move on to Borough Manager's report.
So we're hiring 3 part-time firefighters. You have their applications in your packets. First one is Evelyn Keogh. To be hired as a firefighter 2 with EMT. Giovanni Ciccarello, who is currently a volunteer for us, would be hired as a probationary firefighter. He still needs to get his emergency medical certification, so that's why it's under probationary for him. And Daniel Rivera, same thing, probationary firefighter. So just a little bit of background on each of them. Evelyn, her ultimate goal is to be a professionally paid firefighter, raised in the fire business. Her father is a longtime fire chief at her volunteer company. Right now, she is pursuing a degree, and I believe she's just about finished in fire science. So that's we feel she's going to be a great addition. Giovanni, again, has been a volunteer for us for a little while now, doing very good. Firefighting is something that he has a passion for as well. Borough resident, which is exciting. It's always exciting to see a borough resident. We're very happy with Giovanni being here. Daniel Rivera has been a long time firefighter. He's been doing it for quite some time as a volunteer in different departments. He's well known amongst a number of our firefighters. So excited to see all 3. I think all 3 can add a lot of quality in our department. So I'll be hiring all 3 of them. We probably have 1 or 2 more to round out, which will put us in what we'll call full status. We have a couple EMTs that are going through the interview process here in the near future as well on the medical side. Other than that, I will report progress.
Gio lives around the corner from me and I coached them in EYA basketball back in the day. So Under president's business, I have nothing. We have no executive session this evening. So motion to adjourn. Councilman Balliet, seconded by Councilman Hart. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, there are 6 ayes. Meeting adjourned at 7:40.